y'all, I'm Crystal, the Energetic Alchemist, and this is Going Light, where we talk all things energy, alchemy, and ascension. Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? I am so excited to bring you this first episode of Going Light. I have been really creatively getting immersed in these new energies, and I'm so excited to share some of the ways that I'm being inspired to bring forward information, and I just feel like it's a really great way for us to connect. So I'm excited to share. Today's topic is going to be Ascension Symptoms. This is something that comes up frequently, and so I thought, what a wonderful way to just kind of bring it forward, talk about the energy of it, talk about how to alchemize it, and also talk about how to ascend it in places where we need to. So let's not waste a moment and let's jump right in. Ascension symptoms. What are they and why are we experiencing them? Ascension symptoms are the body's reaction to getting impacted by these upgrades and quickly releasing density. So when information or light is coming to the body and the body is receiving this information, there are some places where we're calling it in and we kind of have that clearing beforehand. And so we're doing the work and it's making space, and then we're getting these upgrades, and then the light is staying within us because we have room for it. But there are places where we are getting these extreme activations and our body really hasn't gone through the process of releasing the density or resistance that's standing in the way of that particular wave. So what will happen is that in the now moment, as the energy picks up and begins to impact your energetic field in your body will start having responses to it. And it is very much correlated with your frequency. So if you are in a place of needing to release and needing to purge, you'll find yourself really letting go of a lot of old patterning, a lot of old behaviors, a lot of old thoughts and things. And if you find yourself in a more blissful state, joyful state, maybe you're working on a lot of your clearing when you're on your own, just feeling a lot of ease and shift in your life, you may find yourself going through ascension symptoms that are just a little bit more positive, a little bit more encouraging. So it is definitely correlated to the frequency that you're on and what your particular release is. The reason I bring that up is because a lot of people will say, in the comments in Instagram and even on Twitter a couple of times, like, why are so many people experiencing these waves of energy in such different ways? It's like no two people are experiencing the same exact thing. And that's very true. And I think this goes for the ascension journey in general. I don't think any of us are really experiencing the same thing. We all have a different perception of this reality, and these shifts, these waves, our clearings, our healings, our expansion, and the way that we're perceiving it is all kind of based on and correlated to our experience, the way we see this reality, and how we're seeing this reality shift. So I just find that very interesting. I do want to talk about the 4 main ascension upgrades because this is very interesting, and I think it gives a lot of clarity to when these waves roll in. Some of the ascension upgrades are going directly towards the chakras and energetic meridians, and this is really impacting our emotional body. You're seeing a lot of old thought patterns released when we're receiving the chakra upgrades. You're seeing a lot of old family energy, ancestral energy come up, and if you're still in the phases of healing the inner child, you'll also see that come up with the chakra upgrades. The chakra and meridian upgrades, these are energetic centers. They get off balance when we tend to have different thoughts and beliefs that we are maybe not lining up with or pushing against in some way, and that will knock the energetic meridian out of balance. And then from there, you'll start to see the body responding to that imbalance of that meridian. But one of the main upgrades is through those chakra meridians, healing the emotional body. The second ascension upgrade that I've noticed is the nervous system upgrade. Our nervous system has been kind of programmed into distraction, into fight or flight, into survival mode. And then in a lot of ways, we've also been numbed at the same time. So we don't even notice how desensitized we've been to certain things. So we don't notice that our nervous system is frazzled and having a really hard time. And so when these particular upgrades come in, there's just a lot of any patterning will come up associated with that fight or flight or survival mode if you're releasing that density. But a lot of times you just notice some anxiety, some tightness in the chest. You might start to get some muscle aches and things like that. And this is all associated with those nervous system upgrades. And then the next thing is the body consciousness upgrades, which is the DNA and how the DNA is getting upgraded to have a higher expression. This is what I call the human blueprint reset. A lot of the upgrades that we're going through right now are the body consciousness upgrades. This is our DNA getting highly activated, our human blueprints coming back online. So we're noticing where our gifts should be and maybe where they've been bogged down by the matrix reality and whatnot. The next stage of upgrades that we will be going into, and I think we're only seeing bits and pieces of this right now, because I believe that we are still in this body consciousness upgrade phase where the DNA is really getting reset. But the guides have been bringing up quite a bit that there are these deep cellular upgrades, and these are the light body activations. This is where our energy body and our physical body are getting upgraded from the carbon form into a more crystalline nature and beginning to merge in these higher levels or higher dimensions. And these are the 4 ascension upgrades that I see going on: the chakras, the meridians, the nervous system upgrades, body consciousness upgrades, again, which is the DNA upgrades. And then the ones that are going to be incoming, I believe, starting this fall, are going to be these deep cellular upgrades, which is just locking us into the higher dimensional expression of our body a little bit further. With all that being said, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of shifting in the body, and when these upgrades come in, the body releases density almost instantly. And some people can tune into it before the energy even heads our way. And some people feel it as it comes in. And then some people feel it as it's passing. And all of them are fine. None of them are better than another. But one of the good things is when you are feeling these things, what it is reminding us is that our divine sensitivities are really coming on board. We are beginning to pay attention to the more subtle realms of our body, of our thoughts, of our energy field, of our needs. And this is creating an understanding of how to tune into subtle energies that we may not see or feel. Like, it may not be our body, it may not be your child, it may be your higher self now, it may be source energy, God now. So it's really training us how to pay attention to the more subtle energies so that we can amp up our communication. So when you feel these things coming in and impacting your body, the best thing you can do is kind of kick back and just kind of go into an observer mode, allowing yourself to notice what's going on without getting attached to it, without internalizing it, without feeling like you need to justify the energy that you're picking up on in this moment. Just notice that it's there. And it's okay if you feel like there's a little correlation and you're thinking, oh, this feels like this time, or this feels like this. It's okay to do that. Just don't go down any energetic rabbit holes, bringing up too much information, too much energy, and kind of anchoring it. I just want to talk about some of the more common ascension symptoms that we've been experiencing, and we'll just start with the root. With the root chakra and its release, when it's going through a lot of shifting and density and we're learning how to feel safe in these new energies, you may be experiencing some foot pain. A lot of people are feeling that the arch in their foot is kind of collapsing, getting a lot of sore muscles in the the calves and in the heel of the foot. So a lot of foot pain, and I personally just believe that has a lot to do with grounding and really allowing yourself to come down deep into the body, any excess energy to leave the body. So making sure that you're moving enough and letting that energy kind of allow it to come through the crown and allow it to exit down through the root. A lot of people are experiencing leg cramps, and I do believe this is a part of the root chakra activation, but I also believe this can happen when we are getting a little imbalanced in our electrolytes. When the energy is coming in, we are needing a lot more water than we believe. Even for those of us that drink tons of water, we still aren't necessarily getting enough. And so they want us to just keep making sure we are adequately hydrating, putting some minerals back in your water, and allowing yourself just to get into a state of absorption with that. And again, I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist, so do your own research and take your well-being into your own hands. But magnesium and potassium and sodium have been a lifesaver for me. I have been on the avocado train with some salt, some pink Himalayan salt on it, and it just really, really helps. For those of you who like pickles, pickles have always helped my electrolytes stay balanced. If I'm struggling a bit, or if it's in the summer when it's really hot, that has always been really beneficial. Another common thing that's coming up quite a bit in sessions with this root chakra stuff and balancing out anything in the root chakra so you can feel safe in the higher dimensions, safe in your body, is also constipation and hemorrhoids. So if you find yourself just feeling like you have a lot of pressure in the bottom at times, know that this is energy too. I would always suggest, as I would do for myself, to find any holistic way to find relief without interrupting my body's natural ability too much. But do what you need to do to take care of your symptom, but also make sure that you're addressing the energy. If you are going through some of these symptoms that I mentioned, just know that your root chakra is needing a little bit more love. You may be going through some foundational activations where your guides are just asking you to feel more safe and present within yourself and for yourself. So the next thing is the sacral chakra. With the sacral chakra, you may be going through a lot of sexual changes, whether your desire is increasing or lessening. Both are very common. You may find yourself with very tight hips, jaw pain, increased abdominal fat. These are all very common symptoms right now, including gastrointestinal changes and things like that. So if you are going through a sacral chakra activation, you may find yourself going through some changes in this area of the body, or finding that, maybe your uterus is going through some symptoms now. Generally, when you find any of your organs or organ systems going through responding to these energies, it's like, with so much love I say this, but we haven't been listening to our body. For it to get to the point where the organs are responding instead of just the emotional body, you have ignored this aspect of yourself for so long that the scream is getting louder. It's begged for help is getting louder. So if you are noticing some deeper autoimmune things going on, or some things where your organs are feeling a little imbalanced or inflamed, please listen to that and do your own research, talk to your healthcare provider, and figure out a way to naturally approach getting yourself into balance while also balancing out the energy of that meridian, so that you can find harmony between the soulful space and your belief systems and then the physical body. Our physical body is really needing us right now as it's purging all of this old energy. With the solar plexus, there's a lot of stomach issues coming online. There's a lot of low bile, low stomach acid, indigestion, appetite changes, nausea, and even vomiting. If you're finding yourself going through any of that, please take care of your body. I was going through a massive solar plexus upgrade for probably a year or so, and vomiting and nausea were very, very present in my experience. And what I can say is that my body was just asking for me to clean things up just a bit. And I started paying attention to the ingredients in my foods a little bit more, and noticing things like when I would have any sort of seed oil, my stomach would get upset, or Apple cider vinegar with each meal really helped with indigestion. There was just little things that I could do to help my stomach balance those physical symptoms out while I worked on the energetic piece of bringing in my connection to the God force and feeling empowered in my being. So I just want to say with these ascension symptoms, like, yes, there is the physical aspect, but it's correlated to some sort of an energy that you're carrying. And that's the root of it. And so if you can pay attention to the symptoms you're going through and where that energy is coming from, you can work on that chakra and begin to smooth that imbalance out, create more harmony internally, and literally within a day or two, sometimes watch a lot of these symptoms begin to fade away. With the heart chakra activations, the ascension symptoms, a lot of them are anxiousness, heart palpitations, thymus gland changes, compassion, having a difficult time with compassion for self, compassion for others. The heart chakra a lot of times will feel this releasing of judgment. So you may be feeling like you're being judged. You may find yourself in experiences where you're judging others. There's also a lot of teeth changes with the heart ascension symptoms. So you may find yourself healing cavities, growing cavities. You may find your teeth just aching when you have a healthy mouth and a clean mouth. You just may find yourself in certain situations that are a little abnormal with your teeth, and these generally will coincide with some of the activations that are impacting the heart chakra. The throat chakra is going to be the ascension symptoms of having a stiff neck, having a feeling like you have a lump in your throat, having a bit of a cough, not being able to express oneself very easily, finding yourself with swollen glands or dry throat during these activations. These are all very, very common. Moving on to the third eye. The third eye is vision changes are some of the ascension symptoms. Sinus changes, ear ringing, hearing things at different calibers or at different details, changing heightened intuition, pressure in your forehead, and lots of lucid dreaming. And then on to the crown chakra, tingling, itching of the scalp, headaches, brain fog, rewiring of thought patterns, memory loss, hair and scalp changes. For a long time, I was going through a lot of these ascension symptoms myself, and there became a point where I really focused in on clearing up what my body was consuming, what my body was receiving, but also cleaning up my consumption of thought. Making sure when I was in situations, I was thinking about things like, what do I think about this? Like, this is their information and that's great. And I may even resonate with some of it, or maybe not. But what do I really feel about this topic? And it allowed me to start to anchor and ground my own belief systems and my own new ideals on what we were going through as we journey through this ascension process. And it was very pivotal in the way that my body began shifting density. I noticed that I could shift energy really quickly in a workout. I noticed that if I went for a walk and just focused on nature and maybe listened to some music, I would shift a lot of energy around in my body. And then when these activations would come in and these cosmic waves of light would come in, I wouldn't find myself so pummeled by the release, because I feel like I was already creating space within my body, within my energy field, to allow the light to come in when the wave showed up. So I just want to kind of put that out there, because for a long time I thought, am I just going to feel this way forever? Am I just going to have this symptom? Am I just going to have to kind of deal with this, whatever it may be? And the answer was no, but in that moment, I couldn't see that. So allowing myself to just kind of kick back and let go a little bit and ride the wave of the ascension symptom, not getting too attached to it or what it was, really helped me understand that this is just my body reacting to these huge activations. When I talk to the guides about how to navigate the ascension symptoms, they just keep saying that, like any situation where there may be a little conflict and maybe a little trigger, there may be a little release. You have to allow yourself to practice your balance when you're outside of that situation. And when they say that to me, I take that in a lot of different ways. If I am going and having a conversation with somebody that, maybe we've always had this dynamic that's triggered me a bit, and I know I'm going to be in the trigger, the practice isn't always in the now moment. Until you get a grip on it, that's going to be pretty difficult. So what the guides have always said is to make sure that you're practicing your balance in other areas outside of that conflict, so that that energy can just be more dominant in your field. And then it's a lot easier to bring that new version of you into the conflict and just kind of solidify it and ground it. Well, they say the same thing about Ascension Symptoms. In the middle of the symptom, when you are feeling what you are feeling and you're finding yourself in your attachments or your thoughts, that's not really the time to navigate your way out of it, because it's a little bit more difficult in that space. Can you and should you focus on pivoting? Yes, absolutely. But what they would rather you do is, when we are not in that state, when we are not in that amplified state, to practice kind of what we want to feel, how we want to interact, how we want to talk, how we want to engage in our spiritual practice, how we want to be with our children, how we want to be with our parents, how we want to envision this planet, how we want to see humanity, and just keep practicing your own belief systems of those things. And then when you get into an external situation, whether it be a rude person out on the street somewhere or a massive ascension wave putting you into a new caliber of light, there's this adjustment that happens, this pivot that happens, but it's more difficult to do in that second if you don't have your bearings underneath you. So in the moments that we are not getting blasted, make sure, especially if you're one of the people that's feeling a lot of these ascension symptoms and going through a lot of these ascension symptoms, make sure that you're doing the inner work that you're being called to. Make sure that you're reflecting on the inner child. Make sure that you're looking at your love languages and expressing to people how you feel, and being really present and in your heart and in the now moment. It allows us to walk the walk of the higher self, and in that we embody a lot of the light, and we move the density out of the way in a way that is not so speedy and painful to kind of release and let go of. It's just a little at a time and a little at a time. But when these huge waves come in and they activate us, if that's the only time we're reflecting on some of these symptoms we're getting and why they're going to come in hot and heavy, and they're going to knock us off our rocker. And at that point, the only thing we can do is surrender, rest, take care of yourself, go put on a movie, just let it be, cry it out in the shower, let it be. Tomorrow's a new day, and we can kind of try and gather ourselves and start over again. These energies are absolutely incredible, and I want to use the word incredible more than I use the word intense. I've used the word intense for a long time to kind of, I guess, energetically explain the strength of this transformation that we're going through. But in using that word, I've now realized that people, I think, hear that and think, ouch. And we are transforming. We are transforming. This is the most incredible thing I have ever witnessed in my life. And I've seen some pretty cool miracles. But what we are doing right now as a collective, the energy we are moving on this planet, and I know not everybody can see it. I know that. You know, in the way dimensions work, when we're in those lower, denser dimensions, we can't necessarily see the higher dimensions above. But when we are in those higher dimensions above, we can see the inner workings and the movements of those lower dimensions and how things are really coming into play. And I'm watching our collective wake up, and I'm watching our collective ask questions, and I'm watching them ask, how do we take our power back? And it is the most profound thing. And yes, it's painful. It's painful to heal. It's painful to shift and really let go of these dark corners inside of us and find this illumination within and give it more weight and give it more credit than anything else we've ever experienced. But here we are. Here we are. And it's incredible. And it's beautiful. And these sensations we have in our body, they're not going to last forever. I don't feel a quarter of what I was feeling a year ago, 2 years ago. So keep going. And know that the energy is shifting so fast on the planet right now that when somebody says, I wasn't going through this a year ago, 2 years ago, for you, this is a very accelerated process. So what may have taken somebody, back in the day, 10, 15 years, it could now take you 6 weeks to get through. You just have to stay focused. We just have to stay focused. I hope this chat today brought you some clarity, some information, and some tools to understand the energy you're in, to really see how you're already alchemizing so much of this energy. And I hope it gives you more excitement and passion to keep moving forward on this ascension journey, because we are doing such beautiful, beautiful work. I love you. I am so glad that we can come here and share this space together. And I can't wait until next time. As always, you can find me at crystaltheenergeticalchemist.com. I love you. See you later. Bye.